Hello again. This is Josh with Talking Smack, talking superheroes, movies, animation, and comics. And we have a special time capsule episode here for you this week because I'm going to be out of town the week we're supposed to be recording this. And Lewis, say
hello, people of the interwebs.
We are recording this a couple weeks ahead of time, so we're going to skip the news. But Lewis has a very fun toy.
I resent that. But no, I mean, I guess if you want to keep it that way, it looks like one. That's a whole nother rant for another nerd moment for me. The SNES Mini or the SNES Mini or the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Mini. Hey, no, I don't care.
It's the SNES Mini.
Whatevs.
Or the Super Nintendo.
Whatevs. But in any case, I was able to get my hands on one, on two actually. Not for reselling purposes, but for
because
modding.
You're a good person.
No, for modding. Well, no, for modding. We got to keep one as stock as possible, and the other one just so we have something as close. And by we, I mean my wife and I, because we're both big nerds. To have something available to be able to play all the bunch of Super Nintendo libraries that we own, and two that we would like to own. Just to be able to play with an actual Super Nintendo controller. So. Yeah. Pirating is bad. Don't do what I just talked about.
So my first question about the SNES Mini is the controller obviously is legitimate SNES size.
It's an exact replica.
And it can plug into the base of the Wii remote, the Wii motion controller, so you can actually be away from the unit.
But no.
Oh no, you can use it for the Wii or the Wii U.
Well, the controller. Do you have an NES Mini or no?
No.
Okay, because it's the same concept. So essentially, the controller port is the same port you find on the bottom of a Wii remote. I guess technically you can put that into your Wii remote and use it for like the classic Virtual Console stuff. I can't say I've ever read into it. I don't see why not.
That's actually something I want to look into because I have Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario Kart on my Wii U. So that's one of the things that I want is I want to have that controller for that, so I can have that retro feel. And plus, I'm better at Super Mario Kart with the SNES controller.
I don't have any VC on my Wii U. I do have plenty on my Wii. That's a test for me, I guess. At that point,
I heard there are tests for that.
But in any case, no, it's an exact replica of the controller. Nintendo just went deep into their, I guess, I don't know, their molds, their paperwork, and just completely replicated it. The only difference is obviously the connector port. The Super Nintendo is an exact replica of the US Super Nintendo. So you got the purple clicking power and reset buttons. The eject button is just a solid thing, so you can't actually depress into it, which kind of made me tear up a little bit. The power light's in the same position. The only thing that's missing on the back, obviously, your connector ports. It's a mini USB cable for the for power, and then an HDMI cable. And then the cool thing too, the controller ports. So the NES Mini had the two Wii remote controller port thingy on the front. You can tell distinctly what it was. It wasn't the old school Nintendo ports. For the SNES, what they did is actually still stylize the front ports like it were an actual Super Nintendo thing. But
and there's like a little hidden door.
Yeah, it clicks open and then there's your port. So I thought that was kind of neat. It kind of keeps the residual...
The aesthetics.
The aesthetics, yeah, thank you. So otherwise, the thing's amazing, man. It's got... I don't remember the count of the games, but
I think it's like 28 or 30,
something like that. It's in a bunch of good games. There's almost nothing I can complain about, with a couple exceptions. But that's just my nerdism coming in and being like, I'm right, you're wrong. It's got 3 different modes for the screen, so you can have a scanline mode. You can play it in 4:3 mode, or you can do pixel perfect mode. So with HDMI and high definition graphics, it'll high definition graphics. Jesus Christ, high definition resolution. But it'll make sure that the pixels still, come out right and doesn't look too crazy out of whack with the stretching or anything like that. You can put borders around it in 4:3 mode, which, whatever, I don't care. And it's got multiple different things. So you have a save state. So anybody out there that's ever played with emulators on their PCs like ZSNES or anything like that, oh man, you're about to hit up a big boss and this game doesn't have save features, so save to the hard drive, continue. Oh, I died. Reload and start right back to where it was. It's got that. Plus, it's got a rewind feature. I think up to like 20 seconds. You can reset, hit down on X, and you can rewind and start immediately before your screw up, essentially. So you can cheat the system. Built in. otherwise, yeah, no, I'm loving that. You should get one.
I want one. I don't necessarily have the $80 to. I don't necessarily have the $80 to spend right now, but it is something that I would love to have. Personally, the list of games, I think there's maybe 8 to 10 games that I really, really would love to play, but I could also buy those on the Virtual Console and buy a controller that can adapt to the Wii U for less.
Right.
Because if they had the full Donkey Kong Country trilogy, personally for me, I probably would end up buying it, but again, I could just as easily go and get that. Another game that I really wish was on there, but I understand why it's not, is Zombies Ate My Neighbor. That's because it's a LucasArts game, and LucasArts obviously no longer exists.
Right.
So,
well, technically they do. They're under a different banner under Disney. They're still producing things under LucasArts. So technically, not that I don't think they'd ever go back and do anything with their library of games, like even way back to the PC, like the Indiana Jones games, for example. But
they still do Monkey Island for some reason.
That's true, though. That's true. So that means they do have access to it. It's whether or not they want to give the green light to whoever's looking for the license or not. But at the same time, though, don't hold yourself up too much with the Wii U and the Virtual Console. If you're not aware, the original Wii, that whole shop is closed down. Probably expect that soon with the Wii U. I'd be surprised if it's not already, honestly. They're shutting down the Miiverse.
That's fine. The Miiverse is absolutely pointless.
What to you? But if they're shutting down the Miiverse, I can only imagine what they're going to do with the VC stuff soon. So.
Stop making me sad. And my wallet's sad.
Well, eBay?
God, no.
See if you can snag yourself one for $20. I can't finish that sentence. That's
not how it works anymore.
You tell me about it. Oh, man. If you ever can, they're going to be distributing these out till... enough stock until December, they say.
Which we don't know what enough stock to Nintendo is.
To be fair, and this is me being very generous to Nintendo, because as much as I love them, I'm also very hard on them, because they produce great product, great games, great hardware, software, but good God, they're a terrible marketing company, and they're terrible at just keeping up with trends and
they're Nintendo. They set the trends.
They're Nintendo. Yeah, well, they're Nintendo. They set the trends, I guess, but. The NES Mini, there was actual huge shortages. Like, you go to GameStop, how much you guys have? 3. You go to Best Buy, how many you guys have? 6. Target, 9. Nobody had any of these around. But initial reports saying that like GameStop would have actual in the double digits. I think they really focused their efforts with Best Buy and Target. If I remember right, a lot of Best Buy's reporting, well, not Best Buy's themselves, but those who worked with Best Buy, and you go to Reddit and they're kind of talking about it. A lot of people in the 3 digits with stock in like Best Buys and Targets, wow. So on and so forth. So far so good, but the demand is still so damn high that they still can't keep up with stock. So I'll give a tip of the hat to Nintendo this time for actually kind of sticking to what they promised, but it's still a Nintendo classic, man. The masses want it. So, hey, there you go.
Speaking of the masses want to know, how is Star Fox 2?
That was really good. For those of you that never get your hands on it, sorry. I'm sure you can YouTube a Let's Play by this point. I was thoroughly impressed with it, even though it's like over 21 years later when the game was slated to release in 96. So quick backstory for anybody who doesn't know, Star Fox 2 was slated to release in 96, which preceded Star Fox 64 in about like 2 years later, if I remember right. I think Star Fox 64 released in 98. 97. So essentially, Super Nintendo dying console to pass the baton over to the N64. Nintendo was like, why compete against ourselves? We don't want to kind of saturate the Star Fox market. I don't know. You know what I'm saying though. People buy the current one and they're not really ready to buy that new one that just came out, so they just axed it. But now being able to actually play it, I'm impressed, man, with what they had planned for back then. They used a new version of the FX chip, so the FX2 chip. Some of the quote-unquote cutscenes, as best you can call it a cutscene at the time, runs at 60 frames. Insane. I mean, granted, we're still talking low polygon counts, like in the hundreds, which is laughable today. But back then it was insane, especially for a 16-bit console housing a 32 meg cartridge with an FX2 chip that utilized 3D polygons, and with the FX2 chip, able to also manipulate 3D polygons with actual textures on it. So, spoiler alert. Andros at the end, you're fighting that face again, like, because they ran out of ideas, and then Andros's face all of a sudden comes out in a cube, and his face is slammed on it, just like I think Star Fox 64 ended that way, or maybe that was Star Fox Adventures. I don't remember. My memories are starting to meld. It was impressive as hell. One of the first games to actually do complete 3D rotation in the free world. which again, insane that they were thinking about that soon. The game actually introduced the walker, so you can imagine how far along those ideas are. Because you didn't see the walker until like Star Fox on the GameCube, Star Fox Assault, I think is what it was called. When you get to walk enclosures and everything, you can transform from the walker to the R-Wing. And then all of a sudden things start popping in and your frame rate drops to like 9 frames per second. But it's still impressive as hell though. Like back then, I don't think anybody would complain at that fact. They also had 2 extra characters they introduced. Instead of having all 4 of the R-Wing fighters with you, it was you and a buddy. And you could choose your wingman. You can choose who you were too. So if you want to play as Falco and have Fox as your wingman, you could. Though, to be honest, what I saw didn't make a difference.
And everyone just said, fuck Slippy.
I don't even know why I was out there, honestly.
You got to have someone to be the nag. Do a barrel roll.
No, you're thinking of Peppy. That's Slippy is the toad.
Yeah, that's right.
Save me! Someone save me! But no. And then the gameplay was something different. Do you know what
I know everything.
Do you know what a roguelite is?
No.
Ha-ha! A roguelike, so if you ever played Binding of Isaac, for example.
God damn it, this game comes up again. Man, you talked about this game at length when we did our Desert Island video games, and I think I had a nightmare that night, dreaming about, what is this game about a child escaping its mother?
It's a very, very warped game from the minds of like Tom Fulp and stuff, yes. The game essentially is never the same. No 2 rooms are ever the same in the same order that you find. No items are ever in the same room, the same order you find. Every time you turn that game on, every time it's something new. I would say it's roguelike light. So with Star Fox, instead of choosing your 3 paths like the original Star Fox, you have a map, and Andros is back. He's attacking Corneria. He's got his fleets, and he's launching missiles at Corneria. Corneria has a health meter, 0 to 100%, so it can take damage. Then you got the planets, the surrounding planets that he's kind of building bases on to continue attacking, and then you have certain asteroids, belts, and stuff like that. So your job is to, in real time, go from Corneria to these other fleets and bases and tear them down. And when you choose on the map where to go, you see things start to move and accelerate. So like if you launch the missile and you move from here to there, you move the cursor here, I want to go here, click, your R-Wing starts going on the map. Meanwhile, everything starts going in real time. So you see the missile traveling towards Corneria, and you're like, okay. So if I battle this base now, and if I'm done, that missile might already be either hitting Corneria or be close to it. Am I going to be able to, after defeating this base, head to it, blow that missile up, and then go back to something else? So you're actually doing everything in real time. It was actually pretty cool. And in the middle of a base that I was attacking, Sergeant Pepper, Captain Pepper. Don't make a Beatles reference.
I was just about to.
I could see the gears turning.
Only hearts got bland.
Like in the middle of a random level, all of a sudden his face pops up and he's like freaked out, like, we just got hit, we're like at 15% like damage, oh my god. I'm like, oh shit, I have to react in real time. So the first time I played through it, I went through everything. I beat the game in about like 30 minutes in normal mode. When you kick up the difficulty, in normal mode I only had to go to 2 planets on bases, and then there was 1 fleet on an asteroid belt, 1 random mini boss, a little snake looking thing, in case you've seen anything on YouTube on it. Which is cool. It's a segmented looking snake with different polygonal things to its body, so it kind of waves around as it rides in space. Again, blows my mind for 1996 16-bit cartridge games. So there's only 3 bases I have to go to, then you hit that boss, and you hit Andros at the end. The higher up difficulties you go, there's more bases across the other planets you see on the map, where before on normal there's like 3 maps I didn't have to go to. So time would prolong it, and then of course the one thing that keeps people coming back, those completionist people who want to get that high score, you get ranked based on how you do throughout your entire length of the game. A, B, C, S. S is
I don't think that's how the alphabet works.
Well, you know what I mean. So you get ranked based on how well you do, how quickly you beat it, how percentage complete, whatever. So those will keep people coming back. Otherwise, if you're one person to go like, I don't care about that stuff, I just want to beat the game, you're going to be very disappointed. If you care about hardware, if you care about timeline wise, where we were technology wise, what this game accomplished, impressive as hell, super impressive. What else did we have? 1996, 95 or 96 launched the PlayStation, and then the Sega Saturn as well. So, granted, there was things already out there that were pushing further than that, but still, the fact that this could compete with that, it's impressive.
Yeah, just thinking PlayStation 3D environments. The only thing I can really think of at that time was maybe Tomb Raider and Twisted Metal were offering similar experiences.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as open 3D environments, Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot was straightforward. You couldn't turn back or anything, but it was a technically 3D environment.
Yeah, because you can move left and right, forward, exactly, and a little bit of back.
Yeah. Tomb Raider was also we talked about Tomb Raider. Sorry, Twisted Metal. Open world. Essentially, you can do 360 degrees. I wasn't really big on the PlayStation days, though. I skipped it. I was one of those kids who was like, screw Sony advertising to the jocks and the layman. Get off my industry. Here I am, like 12 years old, but so I skipped a lot about on the PlayStation. I didn't jump in until Metal Gear Solid, honestly. So
I was in on the PlayStation. I had the first Twisted Metal 2, and then I really got into Final Fantasies with Final Fantasy 8. I didn't go back to Final Fantasy 7 because I saw some people playing it. And back then, again, you don't know anything. Right. All you care about is, like, how does it look? How does it play?
Right.
And it looked like it played very similar to Final Fantasy 8, but the graphics were just not on par with what they did with 8.
Huge uptick from 7 to 8 at the time. Yeah, for sure.
And so that kind of stopped me from going to 7. And then I've watched gameplays and read synopses of the actual story. I'm like, if I weren't a stupid 12-year-old kid, I probably would have enjoyed that.
Yeah, but there you go. And speaking of that, with the mini, a lack of Chrono Trigger, which I guess
I noticed that and Earthbound. Is there,
no, Earthbound's on there.
Earthbound's
on there. Earthbound's on there. What is it?
Maybe it's because they've already had like 2 or 3 re-releases on the DS. They were
that probably, and also the fact that on the mini itself, it's also incorporating I think 4 Square Enix games, or Square then at the time. Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy 3. What's the other one? Brain fart. Holy crap. No. Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy, Super Mario RPG is technically a Square Enix game, just with Nintendo slapped on it. There's our 4th one, and I am drawing a complete blank, and I don't know why. Wow, well, that is what it is. But there's 4 games on there, so I can only imagine that logistically they're like, let's not inundate our damn system.
Doesn't stop NetherRealm from throwing Batman into everything with their Injustice games.
That's a whole different story.
True.
But yeah, no.
I just wanted to get a quick dig at NetherRealm for not being original. Like, everyone loves Batman. Let's throw more Batman characters into this game that's supposed to be all about DC Universe.
Well, let's think about this one thing also, too. Who's running behind NetherRealms right now? Who's publishing for them?
Warner Brothers.
Ding.
So but again, they should dive into their library. They shouldn't.
I agree wholeheartedly.
We have an expansion pack available. We haven't used Martian Manhunter or another Green Lantern or Red Tornado. Let's throw in Catwoman.
Trust me, I'm right there behind you. I can only imagine it's either some contractual thing, or possibly
they just know it sells. Everyone loves Batman, so
or probably the fact that it sells, or easy pickings for licensing, since Warner Bros. Probably gonna be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Besides that,
and then NetherRealm tooting their own horn, throwing Mortal Kombat characters in their games for some reason. Yeah. That annoys the shit out of me. When they threw Scorpion and Sub-Zero into 2 of the first Injustice expansion packs, that killed the game for me, because no one's going to want to play as any of the DC characters. They're just going to play as the Mortal Kombat characters and screw up the gameplay.
Yeah, well, same thing when they brought in, who was it? Was it Jason or Freddy Krueger in the
Mortal Kombat games? Yeah, they did Jason and Freddy Krueger, and then they brought in the Alien...
Predator.
The Alien and the Predator in the most recent Mortal Kombat, I believe.
Alien also?
Yeah, I'm 99% sure they brought in the Alien also. Holy the shit. Xenomorph, technically.
Right, whatever. You know what I mean? I know what you mean. We know. Everybody should know what you mean. If not, shame on you. Why are you listening to us?
Because they love us. I love you too.
Oh, but besides that, that's my only big question mark. I'm sorry. Second question mark would be they have Street Fighter 2 Turbo as opposed to Super Street Fighter 2, which the Japanese and European or just Japanese release of the Super Famicom Mini actually incorporated Super Street Fighter 2. The only reason I can think of is I think Street Fighter 2 Turbo was in its heyday here in the U.S. and probably had the most sales over Super. But,
and that's from you, who is a super uber Street Fighter guy.
I'm the fighter guy, so there you go. But besides that, it's a super impressive $80 for the cost of entry to get a mini. But it comes with 2 controllers this time, where the NES Mini at $60 I think only came with 1. So
nice. I approve. When they announced this, I was very excited, and then I realized I had no money, so I couldn't.
As another new father who's a nerd to another, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I'm just lucky to have connections.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, and a wife who will game with you. My wife likes games, but she doesn't have the time to game, and when she has the downtime, she doesn't want to game. No, she gets a lot of gamer anxiety. I'm gonna die. That's why the Lego games work really well for us.
I can die all I want. Nothing happens.
I just lose bricks, and that doesn't mean
There's
shit.
No consequence, right? Nothing wrong with that, man. Everyone's got a casual out somewhere. At least your games in general. So
I'm a lucky guy.
There you go.
And she lets me do this podcast. So.
Nice.
So our primary topic for this week, because again we're recording a couple weeks early, we obviously can't talk about any news or anything that has happened because we don't know what's going to happen. Time travel.
I don't know why you look at me like that. I don't know either. I mean, you're like...
I was just looking for some kind of reaction. I don't know why.
I got nothing.
Very astute point. So we're going to do another list of our favorite sort of things. And this time, because again, we haven't done a lot of animation talk. Derek and I recently discussed the new Voltron and Star Wars Rebel seasons, which by the time this episode goes up, those will have launched. And I will have binged all of Voltron, and I will share my opinions on Twitter.
You're the last person I thought who would get into Voltron, man.
The new one's so good.
Really?
I've never seen the original 1980s, but the new one, which is done by the studio that animated Avatar: The Last Airbender, yeah, it's so good, and it's a lot of fun. And they do a few little anime tropes in there, just like Avatar did. Yeah. And it's fun and it's good. It's entertaining.
Thank you for being astute on who we're talking about as far as the director. James Cameron's doing Voltron. What?
Obviously you can't see that. I just rolled my eyes super hard at that. I pulled a Liz Lemon.
Excuse me.
I killed Lewis. The rest of this podcast is just going to be me reading off his list of games.
Oh, man.
Games. Animated movies. We're talking about animated movies, our all-time favorite animated movies.
That was great.
Yeah, so we're talking our all-time favorite animated movies. These aren't necessarily like the definitive list for us because there's so many. And I know for a fact it's not Lewis.
It's not. It's so not.
We've discussed these sort of things ad nauseum. I do have a little bit of a recency bias in mind, but I do really enjoy these movies. Last time we did one of these lists, it was 5, but because, again, we're going to be running a little short, I figured we can do an extra movie each. There's some obvious... What's the word I'm looking for?
Obvious choices?
Obvious choices along with not so obvious...
biases?
When you leave it off the list...
honorable mentions. Right?
Sure, we'll say that. There's some honorable mentions that I want to get out of the way.
We're professionals.
Most of this is getting edited out, so you don't even know what we're talking about at this point. Honorable mentions such as like Inside Out. I don't think either of us have The Little Mermaid on our list.
No.
Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. Personally, for me, Sleeping Beauty, although it was a critical and financial flop for Disney, I think it's a gorgeous animated movie. Nothing that Disney has done holds up to what they did with that. Visually, it's amazing. Robin Hood is another one that I don't think either of us had on the list. That opening song, Robin Hood and Little John, is just that gets stuck in your head for weeks.
That another personal favorite of mine just popped in my head. I'm like, man, why did I forget about it? The Secret Mouse Detective.
The Mouse Detective.
Right? Yeah. What? Yeah. There you go.
You got another mouse movie with Secret in your head.
You're
That's
right.
on your list. And then my wife would kill me if we don't mention this one, Brave, which I don't agree with.
I'm right there with you. The best thing I can say about Brave was that it was fucking gorgeous.
Yes.
Besides that,
it was fun, but the main plot was very obvious, and it was fine. Pixar, they kind of kicked off Pixar's meh era.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
But yeah, Inside Out, I don't think either of us have Finding Nemo or Finding Dory on our list. Mm-mm. Any of the Toy Stories I don't think are on our list. Although I will say Toy Story 3 is an honorable mention for me. That final scene with Andy and the little girl playing with the toys and Andy saying goodbye, essentially, I got teary-eyed at that moment.
Who didn't? But essentially, I guess what Josh is trying to say
Gingers,
is that...
because they have no souls. Sorry, Scotty.
But essentially what Josh is trying to say is that don't be mad at us. This is our list. It's not definitive. It's not like the end-all, be-all. And it was really hard to pick out anything that really stood out to us. Doesn't mean that we don't appreciate all these other movies that we're listing. It's just the ones that pop in our head, they go like, you know what? I really dug that, and it's stuck in my head.
We could do a podcast entirely built around honorable mentions outside of our list. So we're just going to kind of...
In fact, we're just going to do one day, we're just going to roll through the entire list of animated movies on IMDb.
And we're just going to say, that sucked, that was good, that sucked.
It's going to be like a 10-hour episode, so there you go.
Strap in.
Strap on.
All right, so Lewis, you're the guest, so I will let you go first.
Oh, you're so nice. So one of the first ones I'm going to start with, it's on the bottom. We kind of discussed this pre-recording, but Secret of NIMH is up there for me. I told you earlier that I've really only seen the movie in full twice in my entire life, and the last time was probably early to mid-teens. But the reason why it's up there is that I remember it being a holy shit movie. I saw it the first time I saw it. I was super young. I want to say I was like maybe 8 or 7. But even then, I was like, oh my god, this movie's dark. One of the first animated movies to actually make me tear up, even as a young child, understanding what was happening to the characters in the movie. So I can't sit back here and I'm already terrible with names as it is. I could watch a movie, walk out and be like, oh man, the movie was great. Yeah, don't you like, XYZ said this to YZX? Who?
Yeah, the character names, especially in Secret of NIMH. I mean, you would think NIMH is your main character. It's not.
No, it's not. But either way, though, it's just all the characters were well done. The whole idea of the animal testing idea resonates then as it does now. Resonated with me as a young child. Why are we doing this to living beings? Like, this is insane. And the one thing that I always like to bring up with Secret of NIMH is how dark it is. Even when they were still advertising like the video sales and all that, how happy-go-lucky they always advertise the movie. And have you seen the box art to the thing? It's a happy little mouse and all his friends surrounding him. Yay! This is dark, dog. What are you doing? So that's what I'm going to start it off with.
Yeah, and that was part of the Dom DeLuise collection. Yep. Dom DeLuise, the guy he was also behind like We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. He did a bunch of kind of anti-Disney musicals. He did like The Road to El Dorado. I think he did Prince of Egypt as well. I think his studio was behind that. And then we're going to talk about a few other ones in here. One of my all-time favorites, just to kind of stick on the Dom DeLuise train, is The Land Before Time. It's such a heartbreaking movie. It pulls a Disney to a super extreme. It pulls a Bambi, but he doesn't have a dad either. So you see his mom fight the sharp tooth, the T-Rex, whatever you want to call it, and you see his mom like in her final breath, literally saying, "I love you, my son. You need to go.
Find this place,
you need to find the Great Valley. You need to follow your heart."
Yep.
All these like heartstring words, and to this day that movie will make me cry, and I still will stop whenever I see a tree star on the ground and be like, "Tree star."
You would. Well, that whole movie, I mean, I think it's like almost, my wife and I were talking about it the other day, and I think she hit the nail on the head. If you look through every single act, every single piece of that story, and then how it finishes everything up, it's almost like an allegory of all of them dying and heading to heaven. Because what happens at the end? Like, oh, look, here's Grandma and Grandpa. And then everyone's like, I think he's dead.
They pull a Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Way to ruin it for me. I didn't even think of that
one. Bam! That's what I'm here for.
The symbolism.
Yeah. I mean,
you have so many memorable characters in that. You have Ducky, you have Petrie, Spike, who doesn't even talk, but he's still so much fun. He's really the kind of the comedic relief character because he doesn't talk. Petrie's a little bit of a comedic relief, but then you have the opposite sides of the coin with Sarah and Littlefoot. Littlefoot's hopeful and he knows where we need to go, where Sarah's just a cynical bitch.
Yeah, she's pessimist to the bone.
But she's always right, and she's able to like sway everyone to her side of thinking because of her ability to just like be
forward with it.
Yeah. I can't say enough about the movie. It's awesome.
The only thing I can say a lot of is, oh my god, could you stop, please? What are they on, 8, 9?
Oh god, I think they're beyond that. I think they've even started a TV show. But yeah, they need to stop bastardizing this.
No,
I think they have. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure they have, because every time I see Land Before Time 14, the journey back to the Great Valley, like, when did they leave? Why did they leave?
Yeah, that's the one thing that's so very sad. Eddie, if you remember Eddie, he's a huge Land Before Time fan as well, and he's always just frothing at the mouth, just like, stop with more of these. Why? Stop. And I don't get why. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the movie myself. Like, I liked it, I enjoyed it, I got it, and then there was a sequel, and then there was a trequel and a quadriquel, and so on and so forth. And it's like, I don't think it was that memorable to bring more out. So somewhere out there, someone's buying these up and talking about it ad nauseum, and the movie company, I don't know who produces it, but just like cranking them out to the point that I think it kind of forces people who don't know enough about it to lose its luster.
Yeah, I feel that
saturation, if you will.
Personally, I stick my head in the sand with the sequels.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I remember my dad came home from the local video rental place when I lived closer to Chicago. He's like, oh, look what apparently just came out, Land Before Time 2. And it's like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Because Turtles 2 was amazing. This sequel, this better be awesome too.
Oh, you poor child.
And then it turned out to be some kind of musical, and they raise a baby Sharptooth. And I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Which is funny how they go the musical route, which is totally opposite end of the spectrum of what
I think it's because they couldn't afford James Horner was the guy who did the music, and I think the music really helps create that movie and like the feeling of everything within that movie. The soundtrack is amazing. Mm-hmm. If you haven't like even just bothered to notice the soundtrack, just listen to it. This might be a detriment to you actually seeking this out, but James Horner is the guy who did the soundtracks, the musical scores to movies like Braveheart, Titanic. He's done so many. Wow. He passed away not too long ago, and I was really sad about that because he's one of my favorite movie composers, and he was one of the first movie composers that I really bothered looking into because of The Land Before Time. And then I found out that he, later on when my sisters bought this Titanic soundtrack, I was like, I recognize that name, James Horner. Where do I recognize that? And one of the times I went back to rewatch The Land Before Time because I love nostalgia and I love feeling like a kid every now and then. James Horner, oh crazy, he's the guy that won an Academy Award for Titanic. Awesome. So it's
full circle at that point.
Yeah, right? And it just again it builds and it does what music does. It doesn't overpower the scene. It doesn't overpower the moment. It enhances it. Again, the movie is just so good, and the music just continues to put it over the top.
Yeah. I got nothing else to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead. Move on.
All right, man. Moving on to the next one here for me. It's I think a lot of us would say animation. I know you have some sort of bone to pick with me on this pick.
Oh no, we discussed this, and I have an exception to the rule, which
I know.
I will say as soon as you reveal it.
But Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Go ahead. I saw you lean forward. What? Spit it out.
So I was heavily considering it. You saw me do the chin rub. Like, I realized that if Avatar by James Cameron is allowed to be a live action movie, considering it's 99.8% CGI, this can be allowed to be an animated movie.
I mean, technically, think about it. Star Wars is 99.9% freaking CG.
Only the prequels.
Yeah, the prequels is what I'm about to say. So, God, it's disgusting. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, the difference there being though is that like you have you know what? I'm not gonna say it this way because I don't want to denounce the great hard workers that worked on Avatar, because it's CG or not, that's a lot of fucking hard work to put into that.
Oh, but if you look into the technical difficulties of what they did with Roger Rabbit,
exactly.
Oh my God,
it's through the roof. And that was like nothing really. I mean, there were things like that done before, like Mary Poppins did the animation with live action at the same time, which is not the first time that was done. Walt Disney did it himself.
They did it with like Pete's Dragon and stuff.
Yes, things like that. And even in the little shorts when Walt Disney himself was in front of the camera and all of a sudden make it would come to life or whatever. Oh my God. So again, it was nothing new, but the length, the feature film length of doing that was just
it wasn't just a gimmick.
Exactly. So that one stands out to me. It was a huge favorite for me for the longest time. Somewhere along the life of me growing up, I had actually forgotten about the movie completely until suddenly later in my adult life I decided like playing back. Oh my God, I completely forgot about this thing. Actually, more along the lines of when I worked in a video game store, and then they also sold DVDs and such. And all of a sudden I saw Who Framed Roger Rabbit pass through. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this movie. How could I forget about this movie? And immediately picked it up and watched it and just relived it. And it just still holds up to this day. Not only that, as a child, to see a mixing of brands. When you saw Warner Brothers and Mickey Mouse, who shook their hands, even so reluctantly from what I read, working together just to bring this world of animation to life. That every one of these supposedly coexist. Man, I love that movie.
Yeah, one of the things going along with the mixing of brands, I remember, I think I was looking at it on the IMDb page because I had time to kill at one of my last jobs. And so I just would read trivia on IMDb. The agreement that Disney and Warner Brothers had together was that Mickey and Bugs would share the same amount of screen time. Donald and Daffy would share the same amount of screen time. And I don't think Goofy was in it. I think it was just those four. But they wanted those four to share the exact same amount of screen time as their counterpart. And so the way they compensated that is that they put them literally on the screen at the same time.
Yep.
So they didn't have to worry about like, okay, well, we've got 60 frames of Mickey over here. We got 38 frames of Bugs. Shit.
Yep.
They just blended it together and it was great.
Yep.
So there's a scene where Bugs and Mickey are skydiving.
Yep.
There's a very controversial and
with the ducks.
With the ducks. There's an urban myth that Donald says a very angry racial slur to Daffy, and I think
I disagree.
I think I hear it, but I also believe it could be something else.
It's just, I mean, you can never
hear what you want to hear.
You can never understand that duck, no matter how much you try. I mean, there's a bunch of cartoons that I've seen that like I would understand them halfway through his rant, and all of a sudden he just turned into. If there were words in there, I didn't hear them.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you go from that to his little tirade of screams, like, is he screaming or is he still talking? I can't tell. But I don't know. I disagree with that. Not to say that Disney hasn't snuck in some random stuff like those artists that go rogue, like for example the
Little Mermaid posters.
Yep, exactly. And the Down Under.
No, the Rescuers.
Yeah,
they're flying by and there's that pornographic poster. Yep. Getting back on Roger Rabbit.
Sorry.
One of my favorite things that I found out about that movie was I think something came up on my Facebook feed, and they were talking about the scene where Don Hoskins. Yeah. There was a scene where he's sawing off the handcuffs between he and Roger. There's a spot where he like grabs Roger by the throat and like they hit a lamp. They have to. The animators are just like, holy shit. The lamp is moving. It's affecting the light. How are we going to do this? And they talk about the time that it took to animate the proper lighting,
the shadows for
the
Roger.
Shadows on Roger and everything. And it's so incredible the amount of work that they put into that.
Never thought of.
They do so many little things. Like they talked about the scene where Roger spits the water out after getting dunked in the sink a couple of times with the weasels.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's so much technical prowess, the technical advancements, things that you would never think of to animate a movie, because again they wanted to just merge these two worlds, and they did it in a way that you would never notice unless you actually talk to one of these people.
And this is during the times before like Windows and easily capable graphical.
Yeah, this is all hand drawn.
Yeah, it's all hand drawn, not just hand drawn, but hand cut, put together in cells to frames. So that alone is just to me is just a masterpiece of just technical prowess. So.
Bob Hoskins, not Don Hoskins. It was Bob Hoskins.
There you go. My bad.
Yeah, Mr. Smee and Hook. I love that man.
Smee.
I love Bob Hoskins. I'm very ashamed that I forgot his name. I called him Don for some reason. I got Dom DeLuise stuck in my head.
All right, but with that said, I pass that on to you, Sarah. What is your next?
Kind of continuing on with the theme of live action mixing with animation, although not necessarily to the extent here. I'm going to go with the Lego Movie.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
The Lego Movie obviously was just it wasn't meant to be anything fantastic. I think they literally just told the directors and the screenwriters, have fun, do whatever you want to do. We don't even care if it's a solid plot. We just want to sell more toys. And the directors and the screenwriters were like, fuck that, we're going to make a good movie. And they did. They made a fantastic movie. And there's so many good one-liners. There's so many great characters. Unikitty is one of my favorites, where they send her up to Lord Businesses and she's just like, business, numbers. Is this working? It totally is. Yay! There's so many great things. And the voice cast is so amazing. I want B-roll footage of Morgan Freeman recording his lines. Like when he's reciting the prophecy and he's like, all this is true because it rhymes. And I want to see how much fun he's having, because everyone clearly had so much fun with this movie. It's not necessarily anything technically amazing, although there is a lot of really cool stuff because everything is a registered Lego brick. They didn't the water, when it splashes, when it's moving, it's all Lego bricks, and it's all registered, numbered Lego bricks. So there's nothing in that movie that is not actually registered as Lego. Yep. Outside of the real people.
Yeah, besides
that doesn't really count.
Yeah. No, that movie was amazing. I'm kind of familiar with the director's work.
They're the guys that did like 21 Jump Street.
21 Jump Street.
They got kicked off the Han Solo movie.
They did. They also worked on I never got around to it, but there was and I wish I could tell you off the top of my head. There was an animated cartoon they used to work on that apparently was extremely hilarious, and everybody has like their complete backing to these guys. I think something about the president being in high school or some weird crap like that. But in any case, I don't know why I brought that up. It's something about that just holds true to their style of humor. It held true with 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, held true with the Lego movie, and they just do it in a way that's just pristine and not pristine. What's the word I'm looking for? It just flows.
Yeah, it flows. It's very 100%. Cohesive.
Yeah, cohesive, to the point. Slapstick meets essentially smart comedy, personally, if you ask me.
I still haven't seen the new 21 Jump Street. I've heard really good things. I'm not a Channing Tatum fan, and I'm not a really big Jonah Hill fan. I think they go a little too blue for me at times. So I'm not sure what to expect out of 21 Jump Street. I know our buddy Melvin enjoyed it, but Melvin enjoys everything. So
no, I if you still haven't yet, I not to digress, but I highly recommend them both. They can get lowbrow humor, which is one thing that the Lego Movie does good of staying away from, with a couple of jabs here and there. So it is very lowbrow humor, but it's smart lowbrow humor if you understand the quick cuts and the quick
the cutaways,
the quick cut.
Well, and they have so many many little background things too. Like there's a scene where they're escaping from the Wild West town, and they're doing the train. They have a pig on their thing, and all of a sudden, like, the pig falls off, and it like falls to its death. And instead of it just like falling to pieces, it explodes into sausages. And there's so many fun little background things.
Little things like that, yeah, for sure.
I think the show that you were thinking about was Clone High.
Clone High, there you go.
Yeah, they're the guys behind that too. They also did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Mm-hmm. They also have
which was a good movie if you haven't seen it.
They directed an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And then they're also attached to The Last Man on Earth. And I think they're also now very heavily influencing the script and production of the Lego Movie sequel.
I'm down. Anytime. Bring it to you.
All right, so your next movie.
Well, everything is awesome. Sorry, that song just flew into my head. So next on my list, I'm going to go with, kind of going back to, I think there's another Don DeLuise. Oliver and Company, right?
He was attached to it. It was a Disney movie, but yeah. He actually... I don't know if he reconciled or if he just decided to build a relationship with Disney, but yeah, it's a Disney movie.
Yeah, okay. So I mean that was super fun for me. One, it's one of the last. It was that last bit of traditional animation, I think, of the 90s.
Yeah, before they went like full CGI.
Full CG and all that.
Well, not necessarily full CGI, but they started doing digital stuff.
With Treasure Island and
Aladdin had a lot of that too. So did Beauty and the Beast.
Aladdin had mostly the lion head into the cavern.
Yeah, the Cave of Wonders.
Cave of Wonders, right? But I don't know. I think it was very. It's very rough, and I like that because it called
no pun intended, considering the dog
pack. Considering like when you look back to movies like Fox and the Hound, back to like the Peter Pan movie, Secret
Hook.
Mouse Detective Hook. It's got that rough.
Well, Hook wasn't animated. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking. You said that Peter Pan movie, and I thought you were going back to Hook.
No. I'm mixing shit in my head. Not Peter Pan. Freaking Robin Hood. Sorry, in my head just green tights. Green tights. Sorry.
He was basically dressed like Peter Pan. That movie was basically remade with a bunch of old Disney stock footage.
Yeah, they copied a lot of stuff over Snow White with the dancing. Yeah, I'm well aware, but whatever. But in any case, it was. I don't know. To me, it was a really good movie. It's almost reminiscent of like when you look at all those movies of pets, the live action pet movie with a cat and the two dogs. Homeward Bound, thank you. It's somewhat similar, but with a little more sinister stuff in the background. And then my personal favorite is you have Billy Joel doing the the main song that caught that movie. Why should I worry? And I'm a huge Billy Joel idiot. So there you go. That's a little bit of bias on my end, but I love the animation. The animation style was great. I'm really a fan of that traditional style, and I'm one of those guys that I'm super super sad to see a lot of that go. I enjoy the CG movies of today, but there's something to be said about missing that. Again, not to denounce any work put into CG movies, not that it's not hard work, but that extra bit of just hard blood, sweat, and tears going into those movies, man. I miss that. As someone who grew up drawing and watching animation and trying to study for sequential art and all that, I fully miss that stuff, and I hate that it doesn't look like it's making a comeback anytime soon.
I'm prepubescent. I agree a lot. I agree a lot with that. I do miss the animated stuff. One of the movies we're going to be talking about was originally intended to be hand-drawn animation, but they decided to go with the CG because it would allow them more time to process a story, and it would allow them a longer storytelling runtime, which I think,
for better or worse, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where it comes from, because you can tell a longer movie where, if you remember, I think every single Disney movie from Snow White up until Beauty and the Beast, I think even Beauty and the Beast was like 82 minutes long. Like, they were just long enough to be considered feature length.
Yep.
And
90 minutes with the credits.
Yeah. And so it just, I think the CGI is more, not CGI, but the computer generated animation is more because it's faster to process. You don't have 85 different hands trying to draw the same thing. And you can tell a better, longer story, instead of it just kind of being like again, Sleeping Beauty, where you have the first moment where Maleficent puts the curse on Aurora, and then you have half the movie in the forest. She meets the guy, she pricks her finger, and then the rest of the movie is the prince fighting to get her.
Right.
It allows you to tell an actual story.
Right.
So I get it, but I also agree I miss it, because you can also now movies like short films like Paperman, which was in front of Wreck-It Ralph, I believe.
Gorgeous.
I love that.
Gorgeous.
I love that.
Gorgeous.
That's probably one of my favorite shorts.
Even though it was traditional animation, it was technically, it's digitally animated, using digital handworks.
Yeah,
but it's still hand drawn stuff.
And that's what
I'll take it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting to is stuff like that should make a comeback. Not necessarily in black and white or gray and black, whatever.
Just back in general,
was.
Personally.
But I agree. Something like that. A movie like that would raise eyebrows, and I think everyone would want to go see it.
I think the closest thing we've had to a comeback, quote unquote, would be I don't know if you've seen the random Mickey Mouse shorts that they've been putting out there.
They've been doing the new random, and I was actually going to allude to that. They're doing the new. Well, that's fine. You got there. They're doing the new Mickey Mouse shorts. They're also doing the new DuckTales, which is more stylized.
Oh my God, yes.
And then they also have the new Tangled show, the series, which again is more stylized animation. That one kind of bothers me because the stylization of it really changes the look of everyone that's not Rapunzel.
Yeah.
And I think Rapunzel looks fine, but everyone else just looks very different, and it bothers me, which is probably why I haven't really given the show the chance that it probably deserves.
Gotcha.
Because Zachary Levi and Mandy Moore are two of my favorite people in the entertainment business. I will give them anything, but the animation just, again, it bothers me.
Anything?
I would.
Oh, damn. There you go.
Except $100 to get an autograph and a picture with Zachary Levi, because that's where I draw the line, because that's coming out of my wallet. If I had the money, I would.
No, yeah, okay. There we go.
I saw he was at C2E2, and I went to his panel, but he was charging $100 for an autograph and a photo, and I was just like, I love you, Zach, but I can't. I have a kid and I have responsibilities.
Said the nerd man at C2E2.
The kid came with us.
That's great, but yeah, no, that's. I know I'm not really talking in depth about the actual movie itself, but it's just, again, there's not really much to. I mean, we shouldn't be talking about synopsis at this point on the movies. Everybody out there should have seen these movies as it is. If not, IMDb is a thing. Go look it up.
Or Wikipedia.
Or Wiki. But
nerd stuff is like the most accurate stuff you can look up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, this is just a show about our list, and that's on it, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I have no real input on Oliver and Company. I think I've seen it twice in my lifetime, and both of those times I was probably under the age of 10. It was on the Disney Channel not too long ago, and Erica wanted to watch it at least through the Billy Joel song, and I was just like, I don't remember any of this. Yeah, and so I wanted to continue watching it, but then the kid got bored, so we had to.
I like that movie. I just side note, honorable mention that would be tied with that one with me would be All Dogs Go to Heaven. I have a soft spot for animals. So
Charlie. Charlie.
And that girl was adorable as hell too.
She really was.
As annoying as she was.
Moving on to the next one, I'm gonna go with. I guess I'm gonna just follow your trends. No, we did a little bit of a transition, so I'm gonna go with this one. I think we have this one on our list together.
I know.
We're gonna talk about this one. It was originally meant to be a hand drawn or digitally hand drawn animated movie. John Lasseter took over Disney, and he said we're gonna do everything CG. So they made Tangled, the story of Rapunzel and the outlaw Finn, into a CG feature, and it is fantastic.
It was very fantastic.
You, me, and your wife saw it, and the minute Maximus and Finn started doing their physical comedy, you were like, you saw how much I latched onto that. I was just like, this is amazing.
I was sold, and I was 100% in by the tavern scene. Done.
And Rapunzel is absolutely adorable. I don't care if she's animated. I don't care if she's only 18. She's adorable. I have no real creepy feelings towards her. She's just adorable, and they nail everything. They give her the pigeon
fact that
toes.
you brought that up now makes you creepy. I just want you to know that.
Fine, whatever.
Go on. Sorry.
They gave her the pigeon toes because she's a newborn learning to walk in this new world, and it has so many resonating callbacks because the music is done by Alan Menken, who famously has done music for Beauty and the Beast, the Little Mermaid. But he, there's so many nice little callbacks with his stuff. It sounds similar, but it's also unique enough that it's brand new. Like you said, you have the tavern scene, the I See the Light song, which
was a beautiful freaking rendition of the song.
It's a beautiful song. That scene is amazing. The scene was clearly built for 3D because the movie was released in 3D. But even without the 3D, you don't see the gimmick. It's just an amazing sequence. And the song throws back to Kiss the Girl a little bit, or at least the animation of it does. That movie is amazing, and it's probably
gave me goosebumps, honestly.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite, and there's so many good little one-liners and back and forths where Finn's I don't even want to know about the frog. Chameleon, nuance.
No, the whole slapstick comedy in there, and the one thing that you can tell that it was really one of those last-minute switches to go CG altogether. Because something about that movie, and to me, this is the moment where Disney started taking back their animation styles, to me, favoring them over the Pixar movies, I think. Because whatever they did, however hard they worked to keep those the animations within the movie as classic Disney animation movement style, resonates in that movie. Same as Frozen, actually, too. And I don't know if you know.
I was going to transition to Frozen here in just a second.
Sorry. The aside there is that Frozen also was supposed to be a 2D animated movie. The Snow Princess, I think is what it was called, or the Ice Princess, I think
that was the original novel that it was based off of.
And then
Hans Christian Andersen.
And then Lasseter as well. So Tangled did well. Let's continue with this one as a CG. And, cool.
And I was actually going to mention Frozen because, again, that's kind of an honorable mention. It was just on the other day, and we watched it, and I was like, this is actually really good, but
Tangled's better.
Tangled is better.
But this is an opinion that no one will change between both of us. We've had this conversation many a times since both movies have been out, and we seem to be in the minority of that.
We're the vocal minority because there's a very loud subsect of Disney fans that do agree with us that Tangled was better. I think Frozen benefited from the song that I want to talk about really quick is Let It Go. Let It Go is an amazing song, but in the context, it makes no sense to me because I don't know what storm she's talking about if she doesn't know the storm over Arendelle is going on. Let the storm rage on, bitch. What storm are you talking about? This makes no sense unless you're the villain.
The storm of the fact that she can't let go of the fact that she's gonna turn everything into snow and blah 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 blah. So that's how I interpret that.
I don't think so.
Either way, the movie is still good in its own right, but Tangled, I think, is above and beyond.
Tangled is a more solid written, story. I think it's better characters. I think, again, what people... The one detriment I will give to Tangled is that it kind of continues to play up the teenage girl thing of I can change the bad boy. And I get that. My friend Monica and I watched it when it first came out on DVD and Blu-ray, and she just goes, I loved it, except for Finn, because she changed the bad boy, and that's going to get a lot of girls really confused.
It's I would say it's less intentional, change the bad boy. It's more because she wasn't looking to change him.
Yeah, she wasn't in love with him at first sight.
And she wasn't all the way until the very end, where she appreciated him, and he just less changing, more just like fell for her. So I disagree with that. But it does play into the whole I love it first sight type of thing, and in the context of the movie and how quick it plays out, it does play into the whole like I just met you, I love you, marry me, let's go have kids, whatever. So yeah, besides that, I'll have to disagree with your friend.
All right, and so we share one. So let's go on to your next one.
My next one is going to be going into the realm of Japanese anime,
which means I have no input.
No, well, maybe a suggestion actually, which you might enjoy this one. I don't know if you ever saw any of the original show, Cowboy Bebop. It's amazing. It's maybe something you'd like because there's no major continuation to it. I think it's 12 episodes long in the series, and only 3 of those episodes have a continuation, with everything in between having its own self-contained stories and small alludes and callbacks to everything. So like slight, light connections, and then at the end it's just a great ending to it. The movie is also self-contained, has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the series in general. Something I love about the Cowboy Bebop, just in general. Soundtrack's amazing. It's got this great jazzy soundtrack. The intro to the original show has a great introduction to it. You've probably heard it randomly with some random like internet memes out there. Cosby Bebop being one of them. It's just the animation in general is just amazing. The characters, they're all every single character is a one-trick pony. It's like one of those the stubborn character trait where they'll never ever change. And they play with each other on that, and they play off each other with that very, very well. And the movie just takes something you love out of the original series and just creates a long ass episode. And yeah, I mean, this it's more of everything. If you watch Cowboy Bebop at all, it's more of everything that you want in a 90-minute spread. Just with a bigger budget, better animation, amazing choreography when it comes to some of the fight scenes, the space stuff, and not to mention at the very end how very like edge of your seat you get before shit goes down, I guess. So anybody out there who's a fan of Spike and Jet and Ein and Ed and Faye and all that, if you have not seen the movie at all yet, or didn't know there was a movie out there, go do yourselves a favor and watch it. If you want to borrow my DVDs, I've got it on. I got all of it on DVD, English. Actually, one of the few. I'll just say this: one of the few animes that has an amazing English cast.
Yeah, I know Steve Bloom is in the cast.
Yeah, I'd rather. I'm okay with the original Japanese OVA. I would rather watch this over and over again with the English actors. So one of the few that they did a really good job at. So I don't know if you're a fan of subtitles or anything. So if you're not, let you borrow the DVDs and just watch them. I think they're self-contained and not very anime enough that I think it'll push you away.
Well, it's not that I don't like anime. It's just that, among other things, it's finding time, and I hate investing in new things because then that means I have to spend more money because I want more of it.
Well, if it makes you feel better, Cowboy Bebop did terribly in Japan. It actually was when it came over here in the States through Toonami, Adult Swim. I don't remember which one hit first.
I think Toonami sounds right.
No, because
you would know better than I would.
Cowboy Bebop's dark, so I'm gonna say Adult Swim. Not dark like dark, but like definitely not the brand of Toonami being all like yay, whatever. I just lost track of what I was going with that thought.
Okay, cool. Then I'll move on to mine.
yeah, go ahead. But either way, I think I really do think you'll enjoy it, and it's only 12 issues, 12 episodes long. And since it tanked in Japan, and did well over here, Japan don't care about that, so nothing else came out of it except for a movie, and that was it. So there's nothing else to invest in it, man. So let me give them to you temporarily.
All right, I might take you up on that. We'll see. So the next movie on my list, we've got 3 left. Well, you've got 2 left now. I'm gonna do a Pixar sandwich.
I've got one.
You got one?
I've got one. Because remember, we shared one. I had 6. We shared 10.
What? How am I so far behind you? I don't even know. Whatever.
I started first.
Sure, why not? So I'm going to do a Pixar sandwich here. If you have 1, and why do I have this one plus 2 more? I don't think you know how to count, or maybe I don't know how to count. I got 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's 6. All right, whatever. So I'm going to do a Pixar sandwich here. First one I'm going to talk about here is Up.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I already agree.
Yeah.
Next.
That opening 10 minutes alone just, it kills you.
Yeah.
Even when that first came out, I started crying. And then again, at the very end, when he gives the purple soda bottle cap to Russell, again, oh my God, I wasn't even married. I hadn't even met my wife yet. And I was just like, oh my God.
My waterfall was running. Hands down.
Yeah. Oof. But yeah, like I hadn't even met my wife yet. And so I didn't even have those relationship parallels to build off of. And I was still just kind of like, I want that relationship. And you have the whole thing of Ellie not being able to have kids. They just put you through the emotional ringer in those first 10 minutes. And you can definitely see why, Ed Asner's character, I'm forgetting Mr.
Oh, God. What was his name?
Russell was the kid.
Oh.
And Mr.
Up.
Mr. Ed Asner. Again, beautifully voiced by Ed Asner. I think that was actually the first animated movie where I was really like, there needs to be an animated, like a voice actor category in the Academy Awards.
There isn't?
There's not.
What?
There's best animated feature. That's all animation gets.
What?
Yeah, there needs to be like a best actor, or like it doesn't even have to be gender specific. They can just do best performance in a voice acting role.
That's ridiculous.
And they could just have like 5 or 6 candidates. I think there really should be. Actually, speaking of performances by a voice actor, surprisingly, Ryan Reynolds in Turbo puts in a really nice performance. Turbo's not the best movie ever, but again, Ryan Reynolds was a very solid choice and did a really good job with that movie. But yeah, Up is, like you said, we don't even really need to discuss it. Up is Up. You can't dispute it. It was, I think it's the second animated movie ever to be nominated for Best Picture. It was in the first year that they opened up the Best Picture categories to 10, so they could include movies like The Dark Knight. Oh, wow. It was the year after The Dark Knight came out where the people were like, why is The Dark Knight not nominated? It probably won't win, but it definitely needs to be nominated. Yeah. And so they opened it up to a max of 10. They could have as few as 6 or a max of 10 after that. And Up was included in there. So it's technically the second animated movie to ever be nominated for Best Picture after Beauty and the Beast.
Gotcha.
So you have 1 left. I don't know how that happened, so I'm going to continue my sandwich here. The next movie I have is a Goofy movie.
And
that's an underdog.
I'll let you keep going.
That's an underdog story of an animated movie. The music is amazing. The music is super catchy. Every song, the pop songs, the regular Disney stuff, the song between Max and Goofy, it just
both of them.
Yeah, it all works, and it's amazing. It's an underdog movie because it was originally meant to be a direct to DVD or direct to VHS video. That's why the animation doesn't really match up with anything else.
Well, I think it was their second budget team. I think is what they.
But it was still meant to
have.
It was still meant to be sent to VHS right away. Yep. And then the studio execs were like, "This is really good. We should release this." And so they packaged it as is and sent it off to theaters. I don't know how well it did in the box office.
It didn't do very well at all.
But
I guarantee you that.
I know there's a huge market of people our age that love this movie.
People, we're what you like to call millennials. We're on the tip end of the beginning of that, which I kind of disagree, but whatever.
We're Gen Pepsi.
Shut the fuck up. But no, yeah. I mean, on social media, you'll see a lot of people now starting up with those Goofy movie memes and just hitting up out of nowhere, and everyone I know is resonating with it, and that makes me feel better because I thought it was a super underdog until I met you, and you're like, oh, I know what that movie is. I'm like, you know what that movie is? Holy crap! The only person that knows is my wife. So the fact that you knew what it was, or just shocked me, and the fact that more people out there actually resonate with it. I mean, for me, I don't have a terrible life story about my father or anything like that, but I totally look up to my dad. He worked really, really hard in his whole life. I'm a son of immigrants who worked their asses off to become American citizens. So knowing that hardship that my father went through, and seeing this movie during a time where I myself was like, I'm self-aware of it as a teenager, knowing that I'm, there's things I've said to him or whatever, and even after the movie I still said them, but in hindsight it's like, damn, this I should treat my dad better. the
Power Line?
Song, well, Power Line's awesome.
Eye to Eye?
Eye to Eye, stand out. But no.
Nobody else but you? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one
with Max?
they're careening down the waterfall.
Yeah.
Down the river. That one like really struck me. So yeah, no, I love that movie. Even though it was the second string, the second strings, if you will, it was well animated for what it was.
Yeah, I remember this year at C2E2, there was a girl who cosplayed as Roxanne.
Really?
Yeah, and I looked at her and I was just like, I get this. What is this? I know what this is. And then she was holding books.
Yep.
And one of her books said a heart Max. And I was like, Erica, it's Roxanne. And her boyfriend just immediately goes, hey, we can leave, babe. Someone got it.
Yes. Oh, it's amazing. Did she have a black nose or no?
I honestly don't think she did.
Okay.
I can't remember at this point. I just remember she had the blue top with the khaki, the capri khakis and the flats, and she had like the big coiffed red hair.
Right.
And I was just like, I know what this is. And then the book put me over the edge. I was like, it's Roxanne. I just couldn't remember.
Right.
Like, is it Maxine or Roxanne? And then I remembered it was Roxanne because the police.
And then came Goofy Movie 2 and ruined that ending.
Some people think it's better. I actually haven't seen it.
I saw it. It's okay. It's okay. It's them going off to college and college shenanigans. Definitely disagree. It's definitely not better. No,
I have a really weird headcanon for a Goof Troop and a Goofy movie.
No,
where
don't do this.
Where you have the Trinity of Disney. You have Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. Mm-hmm. They all have their counterparts: Minnie, Daisy, and Clarabelle Cow. Mm-hmm. Max's mom is Clarabelle Cow, but because they didn't want to get into the whole how does a dog and a cow have a kid that's also a dog, they just left her out of the picture.
They're divorced or dead. And seeing as Clarabelle hasn't been in anything else, I'm going to say dead.
She's in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
That doesn't count.
And but yeah, that's
she was someone hamburgers. Josh, accept that.
She's also in Mickey and the Roadster Racers. She makes sticky buns.
No comment.
All right, so there's the meat of my sandwich. So we'll let you go with your...
I like that. Okay, I'm gonna finish.
Awful.
I'm gonna finish my list up with the Lion King. I don't know what it is with the. I don't know about you. I don't think we ever really had a conversation on this before, but a lot of kids our age in that in a 3-4 year gap generation, when this movie came out, has almost that entire movie memorized from beginning to end, line by line, song by song, verse by verse. To this day, I can pop it in and just I can recite the entire movie to you easily. Maybe I might miss a line or two. At the time it was kind of it was kind of Disney's opus.
It was Disney's magnum opus at that time. It was really their resurgence. Beauty
and the Beast kicked ass.
Yeah, and then Aladdin was really good, but a lot of people still didn't think it was amazing.
Yeah.
Although again, in hindsight, people really do now really appreciate it. And then they had The Lion King, which again it wasn't nominated, I don't think, but Beauty and the Beast it was nominated for Best Picture, which again it was the first animated feature to do that. And then you had The Lion King, which like you're saying, it brought back a whole new generation of Disney kids.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just that. Again, another thing about the technical prowess and all that stuff. Beauty and the Beast. I think what helped elevate them was that stupid dancing scene because the whole building was CG.
Yeah.
And at the time it was like, whoa. So I think that's what got them nominated. But anyway, that's just the bone to pick. I love Beauty and the Beast. I don't care. But Lion King, man, that movie.
I think the only thing I really don't like about The Lion King is the wildebeest stampede, because they literally go down a 90-degree slant running down that hill to get into the trench where they stampede over Mufasa. That part always bugged me. I'm like, how are they just not falling?
I can see that. Some animals have really good traction. I point at the mountain goat, for example. They can.
But again, they're not facing a 90-degree angle. They're climbing and they're horizontal against the vertical.
If you look at the angle of that scene, it's not necessarily a 90-degree angle. It's just an artistic angle that they had, because the camera and of course I'm going to be moving my hands, which means nothing to you guys listening to us, but the angle of the shot of you look at it over and over again, it's like this weird fisheye type of thing where it goes like the ground goes like that, and then you see it go like that. So if you're not paying attention, it looks like it's a 90-degree angle. I said the same thing as a kid, and like, huh? Tilt my head like, what's going on? But if you look at it closely, it's just like a weird artistic angle that they chose to kind of give that impending waterfall doom of, shit's coming. And, long live the king. That scene, the second biggest cry of my life when it comes to like animated movies and all that. When did Lion King come out? 94? 94. I was exactly 10 years old. Secret of NIMH was my first cry. This was my second one. It was a big one. Like Secret of NIMH, I sniffled. This one, as a 10-year-old kid, I was bawling. It's just not out loud, but like tears would not stop coming down with Mufasa and Simba. Even now, just thinking about him, just going like in hearing Jonathan Taylor Thomas's voice cracking. Great job to him, by the way. Like, get up, come on, we gotta go home. Yeah, come on, tugging at the ear, and just like the lifeless animation of the arm and the ear going flop. And nothing, and you're just sitting there going, I know what death means. And again, trailing back to the whole respect that I have for my father, that even at 10 years old, knowing what he did, what he fought for, what he worked hard for, I was like, I don't want to lose my dad. This sucks. No. So.
And that was one of the first Disney movies also that brought in a pretty big celebrity cast. Mm-hmm. James Earl Jones as Mufasa, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who was really big in the 90s, Jeremy Irons as Scar. Yep. You had Timon and Pumbaa. I'm blanking on the actors' names right now. And one was in Birdcage with Robin Williams, but Aladdin really kicked off Disney's, which I think is kind of a detriment to the animation genre or the animation section of movies, is Robin Williams. He was in Ferngully before he was in Aladdin, I think. Right. Robin Williams specifically said, I don't want to be the center of the marketing.
Yeah, don't put me at top billing. Don't put me at top billing. And what did they do? Top billing.
Yeah, and
which I heard pissed him off.
Yeah, Disney even sent him a Picasso because of they wanted to apologize so profusely, and he just gave him the middle finger. Nathan Lane was Timon, and Ernie Sabella was Pumbaa. You also had Rowan Atkinson as Zazu, Whoopi Goldberg as one of the hyenas. Yep. Jim Cummings played the non-speaking hyena. You had Cheech Marin as the main speaking hyena.
Didn't Jim Cummings also
finished
Scar's?
He's finished Scar's song because where he yells, "You won't get a sniff without me." Apparently, Jeremy Irons blew out his vocal cords
because of all the freaking cigarettes he smokes.
And so they brought in Jim Cummings to finish the song, and like if you didn't know, you would never notice.
No. Until I found out, I would have never known. It wasn't my wife's the biggest Lion King aficionado I know. The amount of freaking paraphernalia that she owns.
Yeah. And then to finish off the celebrities that were in this movie, Matthew Broderick was adult Simba.
Yep.
Which he has singing chops, but apparently he's not the one that sang "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," which is weird to me. But obviously his voice just didn't fit with what Elton John went, and that's another thing. Elton John wrote all the songs. So, I mean, yeah, Lion King, one of the reasons it wasn't on my list was because I knew it would be on yours. And it is a very timeless Disney movie. It hits all the right notes, like you're saying, when you have the scene with Mufasa.
The musical score is amazing. The singing, the songs are amazing, lyrical and everything.
The musical score was done by Hans Zimmer,
who's phenomenal.
He is. I think he's kind of fallen into a little bit of a weird niche with his because of Inception.
Less of a niche. He's fallen into a trope.
Yeah. And I hear he does that with New Blade Runner as well a little bit.
Of course, why not?
But like he's the guy behind the Gladiator score, which again, if you haven't listened to the Gladiator score, that's one of my favorite scores of all time. Yeah, so like that was just a huge, just perfect storm of everyone coming together and putting their heart and soul into this movie. To go off on a little bit of a rant again, I think it did kind of bring the downfall to animated movies because Aladdin was voiced by Steve from Full House. Like no one's gonna go see that movie because Steve from Full House is in it. I mean, a lot of people I know necessarily didn't go see Aladdin because Robin Williams was the genie. We don't know how much Robin Williams was actually in the movie at that time. And now I think we've kind of receded back into lesser known stars in the leading roles for animated movies.
With a few exceptions.
Yeah, like you have Kristen Bell and Idina Menzel in the leads as Anna and Elsa in Frozen. Neither of them are really going to bring anyone out to a live action movie. But again, you hear those names, you're like, I like those people. Right. And same thing with Tangled. Tangled, you have Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi in your leads. And you're like, I like those people. And I appreciate that. Same thing with Inside Out. Amy Poehler and her team there. I like those people, but they're not necessarily going to bring you out to a blockbuster. But
just like Owen Wilson brought me out to Cars. I can't say that with a straight face.
No, Cars is awful.
It is. It's. I'll say this. It's okay. There should not be a 2 or 3. I'll leave it at that.
I haven't even heard anything about 3. I think the number one thing I saw on 3 on like Rotten Tomatoes was it's better than 2.
That's a positive. I will say that's a positive. So
to me, I got a Rocky vibe where he's the washed up athlete who is trying to make a comeback. So I just didn't care. I'm like, I've seen that movie, just like I saw Doc Hollywood, which is what the first Cars was. Right. So to close out this list, sticking with the Pixar stuff, my number one that I'm saving here is The Incredibles. I have so much love for this movie. There's so many great superhero tropes as well as original ideas. And they made the best Fantastic Four movie that we'll never get.
It's so true.
And this movie, The Incredibles, actually came out around the same time as the first Fantastic Four movie with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis and Johan Gruffudd.
No one cares.
And they actually had to change like 3 or 4 integral scenes to that movie because it was in The Incredibles.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
And you have Craig T. Nelson, Coach, as Mr. Incredible, Sam Jackson as Frozone. You have a great child actor cast playing Violet and Dash. I forget who plays Mrs. Incredible, Elastigirl. But there's so many fun things in that movie. You've got Edna talking about how she designs her no capes. No capes. And, I don't know the baby's powers, so we just made everything. It's bulletproof, it's this, it's that. And Mrs. Incredible is just like, why would Jack need this? And there's just so many great things in that movie. It plays on superhero movie tropes that we're still doing today, and it was ahead of its time. And I can't wait for The Incredibles 2.
It should not have taken that long. Good Lord.
It's going to be great. And again,
Finding Nemo got a sequel before Incredibles. What the hell is that?
Cars got 2.
Toy Story doesn't exist in this timeline.
Toy Story almost had 3 sequels before we got Incredibles 2.
No. Toy Story did get 3 sequels. I'm sorry, no, up to 3. Sorry.
Yeah. Toy Story 4 was actually slated for summer 2018, but something happened, so they had to flip it. So now The Incredibles is coming out June 2018, and Toy Story 4 is coming out June 2019. I'm excited for that because I don't know what happened, but now I get The Incredibles that much sooner.
Right.
And hopefully it's not to the detriment of the story. And personally, I hope they're on record as saying that The Incredibles 2 will pick up immediately with the Underminer fight.
Good.
I think they're literally playing a red herring game because now everyone's focusing on like, well, it's been 15 years. Why wouldn't you just make it 15 years later?
They'll probably do a jump.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They'll do the Underminer fight, and everyone's going to be excited again. The supers, or something's going to happen where, again, the supers have to go into hiding, and then they're going to do a time jump.
Or something else.
Yeah.
Maybe they might do some other sort of like registry. We might
get a little bit of a superhero
Civil War, yeah. I'm about to say, like, ooh, you might not like that.
But Sam Jackson as Frozone, woman, where is my super suit? We're talking about the greater good. I'm your wife. I am the greatest good you are ever going to get.
Best scene.
Jason Lee is Syndrome.
Great villain. Like, you'll never see another villain like that because he was a smart ass.
Who knows everything about the superheroes.
Yeah, who knows everything.
And I believe The Incredibles is also the franchise that termed the coin monologuing, where the villain just starts going off revealing their plan because there's no way you're going to escape my death trap. And then Mr. Incredible gets him to start going, and then he's like, you dog, you got me monologuing. My favorite part of that entire movie is Kari, the babysitter, though. When Jack starts revealing his powers and going through whatever is going on with him.
Mrs. Incredible, call me back.
And Syndrome shows up, and she's just like, I'm Kari! I'm the babysitter! It's just so good because you can tell she's like, I don't know what to do with this child. Is he possessed? What is happening here? And she's just like, I'm trying to do my job, but this kid is just not what I was trained to deal with. And she's great. And there's an animated short on the DVD and the Blu-ray of her interview with Mr. Ticker. the FBI agent who like wipes the memories of everyone at Mr. Incredible's work and all that. And she's just telling him the story, and it shows everything that we miss in between the plane crash. And I love that little short because again, Jack's like just sitting there, and he'll have a hiccup and he bursts into the flames, and she just has a fire extinguisher ready and just douses him. And I can't wait for that universe to grow. It's such a cool universe. It's got a little bit of Batman the Animated Series in it, where it's modern, but it's also retro.
Yeah, especially with the soundtrack too. The soundtrack with the blaring horns every time.
Yeah,
it always gives me chills. But yeah, no, the fact that movie it took it this long to even get a sequel, and I think there were some copyright issues or some rights issues. I think as to why it took that long. I guess
I honestly don't think they just. I think the director he really wanted to do Tomorrowland, and obviously that was a huge bust.
Flop, yeah.
But yeah, Tomorrowland was a big passion project of his, and he really wanted to do that. Disney was like, all right, well, we'll let you do this if you'll do Incredibles 2. And so it took him that long to do pre-production on Tomorrowland and do all the press and get everything together for that. And then obviously it didn't do well, so then he went to work on a script. But I don't think there's any really licensing because, I mean, if they're going to draw a parallel to the Fantastic Four, Disney now owns them.
That's true.
So
I always figured there was something else. Maybe in the script writing, maybe somebody claimed rights to some of these, claim rights to like one of the characters or something like that, a la Stan Lee type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
So I never looked into it. I always just thought it was just going to be stuck in limbo forever until suddenly, like last year or 2 years ago, we got the random bombshell news of like Incredibles 2 in the works. Like, oh!
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Brad Bird was the director. He did Mission Impossible. It wasn't Rogue Nation. It was the one before that.
The one with Tom Cruise in it?
Shut up. So yeah, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, fantastic. Like, it's a really fun movie, and Rogue Nation kind of continues on with that. But Ghost Protocol really brought back the Mission Impossible brand, and I think it really helped rebuild Tom Cruise's action career. I will let you borrow that if you haven't seen it. I think we've got it up here somewhere. Brad Bird, he got hung up with Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, and then he did Tomorrowland, and now he's back to The Incredibles. So he's got one really good movie under his belt and one really bad movie. Hopefully, The Incredibles 2, I know they also said they didn't want to do it until they had a solid story that they could build that off of. Everyone says that. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. Yeah, Jeff Daniels.
One of the Jeffs.
Jeff Daniels. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels both said that they weren't coming back to the Dumb and Dumber universe unless there was a really good script. And obviously that wasn't the case because they both just wanted paydays. So with that, we're going to close out. Thanks for sticking through. Actually, we went a lot longer than I thought we would. So this is probably going to be fairly on par with our normal episodes. Whatever. This is what I want to do. Please, Lewis, you do Twitches and Uplays and stuff. So if you want to share your social media stuff. I
don't really live in that world right now. I am a new father. So we used to podcast before. And
you can feel free to pimp out Idiots too. I don't care.
Idiots is dead, man. Idiots is dead. There's nothing. There's Marcus and I are talking about bringing up something back as a podcast. You kind of beat us to the punch, whatever.
Which Marcos, if you're listening, you're welcome to be on this podcast too.
But if anything's coming back, I'm dropping the Idiots moniker. It's been 20. Not 20. Sorry. 2001. So it's been about 16 years since I've ran that site, and it's become totally different things. But I think it's time to say goodbye and either start something new or just accept my failures in life. So, but if you ever want to see any random old ass unboxings, I think it's Idiots E-DIOTS on YouTube. You'll see my dumb face. You'll see Josh's face and others on there.
I apologize when you see my face.
The majority of the editing is mine. So if I need some editing job, keep me in mind in about 2 years when I have actual time and my kid grows up and I can leave him on.
That's an awful thing to say.
leave him to his own accord, and I don't know what I'm talking about, honestly. I barely have time to do much of anything today, but. I appreciate the ability to try and pimp out. There's nothing to pimp out anymore. But yeah, it was fun.
Well, thanks for being on. Hopefully the stars align so we can actually have you on for a real episode so we can discuss some news-related things as well.
Follow us, fellas, man. If you want to do a Skype thing, because I know we're like, we live apart a bit. If you want to include me on a Skype call or something like that.
We can definitely do that as long as I figure it out. I have to become a little more technically savvy.
Amateurs! Yeah, I would, maybe, well, whatever. Maybe with a switch box. You can edit that out. But.
You can follow us on Facebook and YouTube, just Talking Smack, SMAC, Superheroes, Movies, Animation, Comics. We're also on Twitter. You can follow us at Talking Smack Pod. You can also email us any questions, comments, concerns, feedback. I don't know why you'd have any concerns, because if you're listening to us, I think I'd be more concerned about you. You can email us at tsmackpod@gmail.com. You can also follow me at Josh_Scar. Scar is spelled Skaar, like Scar, son of Hulk, which is the only callback I can make to my namesake.
I'd shout out my Twitter, but I'm barely on. I don't even know what it is.
It's probably Jinzoku something.
It's not, actually. It's not. Hold on. I'll tell you right now. Just for shits and giggles. You can shout me out at Lou Ramrod. Don't ask.
Lou is spelled L-U, correct?
Yes, L-U Ramrod.
That's such a weird Twitter handle.
I promise it was never meant to be sexual either.
Of course not. All right. So thanks again for listening. Thanks again for sharing. Thanks again for any feedback or tweets or emails that you might send us. We appreciate it. This episode, again, is lacking in news because we're recording a little ahead of time because I have a previous engagement. You guys take care and roll that theme music.